Welcome to my garden here in Denmark in a USDA Zone 7 equivalent here in Europe. It's the 28th of September and it's autumn. Some of my plants have started to put on their autumn colors. Some are still looking really great. And as you can see, the Verbena bonariensis is in full flower now. These are from seeds. They started this year in spring. Most of my Verbena bonariensis did not make it through winter, so most of the plants that you'll see here and there have come up from seeds this year. Occasionally they do make it through winter here, but not last winter, unfortunately. Also doing great are the black-eyed Susans. They were also in flower in August, at least in the end of August, and they are still looking really great. They multiplied by seeds as well, and I did put in some nice clumps. I did get a few from my mother, and those have multiplied over the years and basically seeded themselves in here and there. I think that looks really great. I should say that normally I don't have a lot of yellows in this garden. I have a lot of yellows in autumn and I have a lot of yellows in spring. But in summer it's mostly blue and chartreuse and lilac and so on that I have instead of yellows. I have a few daylilies that are yellow though, and an occasional plant here and there that's yellow, but usually in summer the colors here are actually a bit more muted. But here in autumn, I think the yellows look really great. Rosa Roaldal, still looking great. Still looking really great. And yeah, I have deadheaded that throughout summer and kept it going. And that is why it looks so great right now. If you don't deadhead it, it will go to seed and won't flower as profusely as this one is doing right now. Yeah, as you can see, the signs of autumn are showing. Some of my plants have gone to seed. Also this Helenium, its Moorheim Beauty, is now at its very last flowers. I think I could have deadheaded that and perhaps gotten one more flush out of it. I might have been able to do that. But I actually like how it looks right now, and also if it's able to retain that shape somewhat throughout winter, I think I'll be happy with how it looks right now. Yeah, and yeah, we are semi-shooting up against the sun right now, but yeah, here in Denmark with the sun being so low, this is 5 in the afternoon, and yeah, the sun is actually getting quite low already. Another plant that is looking great here in autumn is this toad lily. I really like toad lilies, and as you can see, the flowers look almost like orchids. This one was moved in spring. It's not as tall as they sometimes get, and that's probably due to the move, right? So it's only about half a meter tall, but we'll get taller than that. Also still in flower, and that is because I deadheaded it, is Nepeta Walker Slow. The first flush of this one was a lot taller, but I did trim it back and it's gone to flower again, but the next flush here is a lot not as tall as the first one. Yeah, also still flowering its socks off, Geranium Roseanne. That geranium just wants to deliver, basically. It just wants to give you as many flowers as possible. It is not happy if it gets too dry though. Do take care of that. Eventually its roots will go very deep though. So I think when it's well established it will probably do better in drought, but I would say drought wise not the best plant. Yeah, also A bit unusual right here. I have a daylily that has gone into flowering again here in autumn. And I have gone for daylilies generally that will reflower, so not as unusual as it might look. Some daylilies can actually reflower, so you can go for those varieties if you want to. Some of mine don't. It depends a little bit on how much you fall in love with the plant, right? Yeah, as you can also see here, my project with adding in some grass again is also continuing along. I have removed several geraniums from here, roseannes, and moved them to the new border. And yeah, I am going to put in grass again here, only to that bamboo cane though, so the border that I just showed you with all of the heleniums and so on in it will remain. But between those two benches I will re-establish the grass. Continuing along the border on the side, you'll notice that geranium Ann Thompson is also still in flower, still going strong. It has not flowered as reliably as geranium roseanne though. Also in flower on this side is, I believe it's called Oregano Herrenhausen. That one is actually able to make it through winter here if it is not positioned in a place that will get very wet. And all of my borders are slightly raised, so if I position something like a plant like that, I'll position it on the edge where it slopes, and hence the water will run off. Also looking great in there, some hydrangea pinaculatas, whereas these pinaculatas are doing really great. I've never had a pinaculata freeze back here while I've had this garden. And the garden is approximately 7 or 8 years old. So it's not actually, it's not really that old a garden. And when I bought the house, there was only grass here. So it shows that you can actually, at least within 8 years, you can actually establish quite a garden, right? Right here, my 7 Sons tree, more of a shrub actually, but it flowers here in autumn. And each of these flower heads will consist of 7 flowers, hence the 7 Sons tree. I think this view right here is very autumn-like, with that dogwood Siberica over there, with that those red stems, right, and the very red leaves at this exact time of year, here in autumn. Soon it will lose its leaves though, and only have the red stems. And also in there, a little bit hidden, is the copper rose, or Rosa Gauca as it's called in English, with its red berries for the birds and those almost copper-like leaves. Looking really great. And yeah, I am establishing some additional hostas in there, because the hostas in this corner has always looked great. And hence I am establishing just a bit more hostas in the garden. Yeah, moving along. Yeah, you can see Rosa Silas Mana is not in flower. And how come? Because all my other roses are. Unfortunately, there was a bit of wind here, and it had 2 really strong stems that collapsed in the wind. You can see there I had to cut that one. And yeah, as they fell, I decided to cut them off. A garden fuchsia. That is my sole survivor of a fuchsia. I got several from my mother. She simply propagated them from the ones she had. And I managed to kill the 4 of them. And this one is the sole survivor. And I think because I'm on clay here and simply planted them into the clay, they died due to the wet in winter. What I did with this one was that I raised it up a bit. So it's actually slightly raised above the rest of the border. And yeah, you can't see that unfortunately, but it is slightly raised. And hence the water will run off. So I think that might be the reason that it survived. Or perhaps just dumb luck, because I tried so many times, right? What do we see right here? Color-wise, Hydrangea Limelight has put on so many flowers this year, has really delivered. That has been looking so great. Another red-stemmed dogwood, Cornus siberica, I believe, right? That is looking great, and of course some extras of those black-eyed Susans. They have not seeded as much in there. It seems as I think it's because I mulch. I often mulch, so they have to have some extra success when seeding around, I think. So in that middle border, did I mulch there a couple of years ago? I don't always mulch every border every year. So that's when they have to get lucky, right? Yeah, in here, small water feature. Can hardly see it at this point of time in the year, right? But there's a pump in there, and I think it looks great. And of course also looking great with that plum in the background. Also, last year I could not resist planting in some Japanese anemones in there. Let's see if they turn into a wildfire. Sometimes Japanese anemones can multiply like crazy, and sometimes they don't. This is Anemone japonica honoratio bean or something like that. I did not pronounce that correctly. I will put in the name of that one. Also still looking rather great. The seed heads of those Baltic parsleys that I showed you in one of my earlier videos. Still looking really great. Of course, I also have these Walker's Low here as well, and Echinacea Magnus. I could have deadheaded that Echinacea a little bit more than I have this year, but I think it's still looking great. All in all, it's still looking great. Yeah. Yeah, also, yeah, my lambs here, oh, you can see that I did run into them a little bit with the lawnmower here. Also, as they fall over, they will often fall over. I will actually remove the ones that fall over, right? When they flop, just remove the ones that flop. But I really like that silvery hue of the leaves. I really like that. That is looking great. Also looking so great, as always, I'm tempted to say, is this rose, Lady of Shalott, from David Austin. That is just a great looking rose. And the roses, the individual flowers on this one is looking great. With more, oh, it's called buds, of course, with more buds on the way as well. And yeah, it's looking really fantastic at this time of year as well. On the other side over here, couple of digitalis still in flower. Oh, and a red valerian still in flower as well. That is actually a bit unusual. It just shows that they just want to keep on going, right? I think overall you can see I do repeat the plants that I have a lot. I've divided quite a few of them, and hence the show just keeps on going, right? Over here is the border that I am establishing. You can see that I actually started out with putting it in up here. Again, as always, I do raise the soil level up a little bit. The intention here is, of course, to have this path continue around that corner where we just came from. And hence I will put in some grass right here, move those plants to the border over here instead, and hence have a really nice border over here. And yeah, as you move to this side, you can see that some of those plants are rather newly moved or rather newly established, so it's a little bit of both, right? In here, a rose called Kew Gardens that should actually fill in the space in there in a couple of years, along with some roseannes, geranium roseanne that I moved. And just notice they are actually flowering. Even though I trimmed the top off them, they are still trying to get some flowers going and getting those off. That is actually rather impressive. Yeah, do trim. If you move a geranium roseanne, you might just as well trim most of the top off. And these are very big geraniums, and they will fill in really nicely in there, I believe already next year, right? And this one is the latest addition, also a geranium roseanne. This is how they look when you just move them. I do expect this one to recover within a couple of days. Should be fine. I think this border will actually look quite great next year. And the reason why I think it will already look great next year is that the plants that are moving into this border, most of them are quite well established already, and hence they should do great already next year. There are a couple of new plants as well that I purchased from very small, but most of the plants in there are plants that I've moved out of that middle border and away from where I'm putting the path in. Yeah, and again some toad lilies. Just check out toad lilies, right? Toad lilies are not what you call true lilies. They just have the name, but they are looking great. Yeah. Other than that, what did I forget? A lot. But that is what it is. We're back at the beginning. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.